Once upon a time, there was a Templar knight, and it was his duty to protect a village. Um, there was a castle outside of the village that housed all of the Templar knights. And they would be in there just like practicing, swinging their swords and shit, chatting, and basically just there in case anybody ever came to try and sack the village. They mostly just stayed in their castle. And so there was a knight, our boy. He was cool with that. He loved his job. He would sometimes take little strolls into the village though, unannounced. And the other Templars didn't do that, because the one big rule is no girlfriends, no relationships. And they all knew, like, if we go in the village, we're gonna see women. And yeah, God didn't make them ugly, okay? But our boy, he would go into the village sometimes because he just would get sick of sitting in the castle all the time. And so one day he was in the village, and lo and behold, there she goes. He sees this lady, and he sees her face, her eyes, her rosy cheeks, her lips so plump, her hairs, her curls, and he just falls in love. He's like, fuck, I can't be a Templar but also be in love. So that night he went back to the castle, and he was vibing. They were having some brewskis and eating mutton. And he was like, he took one of his dudes to the side, one of the other knights, and he was like, bro, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I'm thinking about settling down in the village. And his bro already knew that he had been sneaking into the village. A few of the guys already knew that. They weren't snitches, you know? It was cool. But his bro already knew, so he was like, you saw a girl in there, didn't you? And he was like, yeah, man. So his buddy said it like this. He said, God called you to be a Templar. That's why you're a Templar. But God also created women. And you have one life. You're gonna do what you believe God wants you to do. But you're also gonna fuck up. That's a part of being a human. And luckily God forgives us. I mean, you're gonna fuck up. So it sounds like you've been fucking up. And it sounds like you found a new path through all that fuckery. And if you feel like God would have you do that, leave the Templars, be with this woman, then that's up to you and your God. That's what his buddy said. And so our boy, he said, yeah, you're right. I'm going to take some more time and think about it, but you're right. So, long story short, our boy, he decides, you know what, I'm going to go marry this woman. So he goes into the village, he meets her, he tells her that he's fond of her, they start going out, and he resigns from the Knights Templar. And she is just overwhelmed with what he has done to be with her. And so they get married. They have 2 children, and then she divorces him. She actually got tired of him. And there was another guy that's in the village who she thought was really cool. So she divorced our guy and married that guy. And then her and that guy raised our boy's kids. And he couldn't join the Templars anymore. He was basically fucked for life. The end. Right now in my life, there's like big overarching ideas that I'm wrestling with. one idea, one thing that I'm wrestling with is anger. Because you see, I was very weak. I was a weak child. And I never was able to stand up for myself. I got bullied, sat down and cast aside, if you will, let down. And when that is who you are growing up, that is who you are. That's how you see yourself. That's who you are. You are less than the people around you, worth less than the people around you, your peers. You are weak. You're the loser. And it wasn't until around 26, 27 that I broke out of that. And so what replaced it was anger. For so long, I had my mouth shut while people degraded me, humiliated me, made me feel like shit because I had no mind of my own to say that it's not the truth. And specifically women. You know, we grow up in a world we live in a world currently where our ideas on life are dictated by others. And whichever group of people is the largest or the loudest is going to be the one that decides for you individually how you see the world. And so if you decide that women shouldn't be allowed to, you know, if a guy comes up to a girl and says, "Hi, I think you're beautiful. Could I take you on a date?" If you yourself in your heart believe, "Oh yeah, this woman should treat him with respect," and say, "No, I'm very sorry. You seem cool. Maybe, you know, maybe we could have a conversation right here or something, but not mean, right? They shouldn't be mean. They shouldn't degrade this man for coming up and telling them that they're pretty. But when you have so many voices, and when the loudest ones are saying that guys who come up to girls and talk to them are barbarous, or a girl needs to defend herself from a man attempting to engage in conversation with her, or, you know, if you're talking to random women, you're weird. When you've got all of these voices screaming at you, telling you these things, you can't help but just accept what society's telling you. And that's the time that we live in. There's just a bazillion voices, and some of them are loud as shit. And if you can't take a step outside of all the voices and think for yourself, you are trapped. Your soul trapped, your thought trapped, mind trapped, heart trapped by the masses, or whoever's controlling the masses. And so not right now, but for a while, my biggest upset with society was just the way that I was treated by women, so rudely, as if I was dirt. You know, because it hurts, even though all the voices might say it's a small thing for a girl to be mean to you. As a man, when you have nothing and when you try to reach out and are met with distaste, it hurts. It does hurt. You should be allowed to acknowledge that as a man, that it fucking hurts. You should be allowed to be upset. But they came up with this word incel. I'm not going to get any more into that. Mimetic warfare. All the voices, you know? No, I'm not going to get any more into that. But no, I got these broad ideas that I'm wrestling with. And when it comes to how I was weak and then became strong, and my weakness, my disparity was replaced with anger. What goes on in my head currently is I have to forgive the world. I mean, I was kicked down, ashamed, humiliated for all of my life. And then finally I reach an age where I am able to speak and have a voice, and I'm just pissed at what's been done to me. And then it's like, wait, no, you're not supposed to be pissed. You're supposed to forgive. You're supposed to you can recognize that there were wrongs done to you, not by maybe individuals, but by society as a whole, by this world. You can acknowledge that you were wronged, but you don't want to get angry. You have to forgive. I mean, who am I to not forgive when, if I were not to be forgiven by God, I would be resting in hell? Well, not resting, far from resting, but I would be in hell. You know, how can I not forgive my fellow man when my God had to forgive me for being a total piece of shit, deserving of hellfire and brimstone? How could I not forgive my fellow man? I mean, that would be very, very selfish and twisted and retarded. So I'm struggling with it. It's a wrestle. It's a battle. I'm angry. I've got fire in me. Every day I wake up pissed, to the extent that I go out and I blow up sometimes out in public, out in the world. I do things that you're not supposed to do. You know, like a man with no rules. I went to jail like 2 weeks ago. They took me to jail for a day because something I did in a coffee shop. If that all sounded like gibberish, I'm sorry. Wake up. But what I'm wrestling with right now, like today, as in today, is I have this anger toward women. You know, and in your head you might think incel. That might be the first word that comes up, or weak, or loser, or weird. You know, it's whatever. Just skip off the video, please. But I can't tell if my hatred is pointed at the women who look at me as dirt, or at the woman who came into my life, gave me hope, and then left like nothing ever happened. Like we never knew each other. As soon as she was ready, she was able to leave. It was small for her. I think that's where all the anger is. I don't think it's necessarily in getting rejected or whatever. I think that's normal to be upset at. I think everybody gets upset with that when they are at a certain age where they have to go out and find a woman, and it's hard, and women suck, obviously, and you know. But I think what I'm dealing with, where all the woman hate is coming from, is one woman specifically. She just did me really dirty. She talked to me like a soulmate. Told me all her problems. Invited me into her mind, into her personal place. Told me everything, the paranormal things she thinks about, you know, the traumatic events of her childhood, the day-to-day trials she goes through. I mean, everything was out there on the table for us. Our dreams. And then it was just like so easy for her to end it. And I think as men, once we find, as a true man, not as a boy, but as a man, once you find a woman, you can settle. You can say, all right, this is my woman. I'm good. Whatever she looks like, you know, whether you're semi-attracted to her or very attracted to her, you find a woman, she's good, you're good. But something about women, it's like every once in a while, something can just do like this and they can just leave. And that's not right. And it's not right that they make it out to be such a small thing. Like, oh, grow up, she left, so what? That's not right. It's not right to break down a man like that. It's just as bad as knocking him upside the head. All right. Goodbye. I almost killed myself last night. That's probably why I'm talking like this.